Today marks National Diabetes Awareness Day. According to the Centers for Disease Control, we're eating ourselves into a diabetes epidemic. Although both diabetes and obesity risk factors are often associated with genetics, new research is showing the conveniences of modern life are also contributing to the rise of both. A recent study, in fact, shows the obesity rate is rising for the first time since 2004. And joining us now to talk about this, Katie DeLauro, registered dietitian nutritionist from Tri-City Wellness Center. Thank you so much for coming in.
Thanks for having me.
I'm surprised that it's just rising now from 2004. You would think that it's kind of been on the rise the whole time.
It has. Actually, the CDC started publishing the obesity rates by state since 1994. At that point, it was actually the high was 23%.
Wow.
Now, we don't have one state left at 23%. It's 35% and above residents in that state.
Is it, we think about is it because of the fast food generation and how fast and quick and often cheaper it is? I mean, what is it? We've been talking about this, I feel like, for so many years.
Yeah. It's a couple of things. It is the fast food. It's the modern conveniences where people can spend less money getting less nutritious food on the dollar menu, drive-thrus. It's also the portion sizes. So the portion sizes now from 30 years ago have almost tripled. So we're seeing a lot of different things, and there's also a lack of education. We also look at physical activity. What was happening when we were growing up is we had PE, and PE isn't in all schools anymore. So we're seeing less activity, more consumption, and not consumption of healthier foods.
Right, and I know they're still working on, I know the First Lady did a bunch of stuff, and they were trying, and then a lot of different schools are trying to work on the nutrition program and the lunch program. But I guess if they're eating good stuff in school, but if they're eating bad stuff at home, it's kind of, it's hard to determine which is best.
That's exactly it. So it starts at home.
Right.
We talk about, some people will say, I'm heavy because of genetics.
Right.
Well, that can play a role in it, but who taught you how to eat?
Yeah.
So you're eating at home, and some people 3 meals a day are at school, and some people, those meals, even though they're given a healthy meal, they may be trading and eating more of the chips, not eating the broccoli. A lot of that goes to waste, which is unfortunate.
And we talk about kids, and kids can usually, think about baby fat, as kids grow and they get taller, sometimes, they can get rid of some of their, but now we talk about adults. I mean, there are so many things that we don't even realize. I mean, we could even talk about a weight gain being associated with an increased risk of cancer.
Cancer, diabetes, heart disease, heart attack, stroke. So diabetes is the big thing right now. It's National American Diabetes Awareness Month. And so if someone is more overweight, we're not just looking at the function of feeling good and looking good in your clothes. We're looking at what's their health status, what's their cholesterol, what's their blood pressure, what is their blood sugar. So that's something that we really do need to pay attention to, not just how our clothes are fitting, but what is the longevity status of our life.
So what do you suggest people do? Everyone says they can afford to lose a few, right? So do you suggest that you get to a certain point on the scale over your typical, or is this something you should address once a year with your doctor during your physical? What should you do?
Yeah, so 2 things that I recommend. Yes, do go to your doctor, have your annual physical, ask the basic questions. What's my blood pressure? What's my cholesterol? What's my triglyceride? And what is my blood sugar? From that, understand what that means. A lot of people come into my office and they're on a medication for diabetes or blood pressure, and they don't really understand what that means and how they need to change it. So educate yourself on, do you need to lower your sodium? Do you need to lower your sugars? Do you need to exercise more? And in most cases, it's all 3. And the other thing is, we hear the same thing over and over. Balanced diet, lower portion sizes, decrease the sugar. How can you actually implement it? And that's where a wellness center, a dietitian comes into play to really work with you for continuing education, accountability, support to make sure you can implement it in your life.
Absolutely, because sometimes people think they take that, okay, I can eat the same thing I was going to eat. I'm going to go get those carne asada fries because I'm on this blood pressure medication. It's going to balance it out. That's not the case.
It's not the case.
Yeah.
It's not the case, especially with the holidays coming.
Oh, yeah.
The average person eats, I believe it's 4,500 calories on Thanksgiving Day. Oof. And then it cascades into Christmas, New Year's, and everyone's panicked. So the average person actually can gain 1 to 2 pounds during the holiday season, which doesn't seem like a big deal, but they never lose it. So 10, 15, 20 years later, they show up in my office and they say, I don't know how this happened. And it's a gradual process. So we also need to accept that we need to find a gradual and healthy process to lose it, not the temporary fixes, the fad diets, but how can you make changes that are sustainable and that are a lifetime change.
That's good for your heart, and you can live longer. You know, that's what this is all about, right?
Exactly.
Keeping you around longer.
In the quality of life. If you're living longer, you want a good quality of life to go along with it.
Excellent. Thank you, Katie. Appreciate it.
Thank you.
All right, I will put away my popcorn and try to choose something else for a snack. Thanks.